Hey guys, we're going to be talking about the water cycle, which I hope you are familiar with. But if not, this is the water cycle. Okay, the water cycle is this continuous process of how water gets from up in the air to down on earth and then back again. Okay, and you're going to see four big words around this. They're not the only vocabulary terms that go with the water cycle, but they're pretty big ones. Okay, so it's all going to start with evaporation, and that's where you've taken your liquid water and you heat it up. And when you heat it up, it turns into a gas or water vapor and goes into the clouds. Okay, well, the higher up you go into the atmosphere, the colder it gets. And when you take that heated water vapor and you start to cool it down, it goes from that gas back to a liquid. So the clouds up here are examples of what's called condensation. That's where your liquid has formed again. It's gone from a gas to a liquid. Okay? And then so much condensation builds up that it gets so heavy that we get precipitation. And that's where your rain, your snow, your hail, your sleet, ice, all of that comes from, is from so much condensation up here that it falls. And then it takes and comes into collection, which is where your rivers, your streams, your lakes, puddles, all of that comes from. So again, evaporation where it heats up into the clouds where it condenses or cools back down and gets so much water that it eventually falls down to the earth and then collects again to be evaporated. Okay, so there's that page. Next is the close reading that you're going to be using this to answer these questions on CAMI. So the water cycle is the process of water moving from Earth to the atmosphere and then back to Earth. There is no beginning or end to the cycle. The sun's heat changes liquid water into a gas. It rises up into the atmosphere, and cold temperatures cause the water to return to Earth. Okay, well, again, like I told you, it all starts with the sun. The sun warms water on Earth. Heat causes water to evaporate or change into water vapor, which is an invisible gas. The water vapor rises up into the atmosphere, and then that's where it starts to cool back down. Okay, your evaporation is what causes your puddles to disappear. It dries your wet clothes on a clothesline, or if you use a dryer, it heats it up so much that it gets all of that liquid water to become water vapor. It also, if you boil water, you can see the steam on top, and that's an example of water vapor that you can see. And eventually you won't have any liquid water left in the pot if you continue to keep it boiling. You've heated it up and it's all evaporated. Okay, well, like I told you, the higher up in the air you go, the colder it gets. So that water vapor that's hot comes up into the air and it starts to cool down, and then it condenses. Okay, condensation is the process of water vapor changing into tiny liquid drops. The drops form a cloud. Clouds are not the only form of condensation that we can see. Fog, dew on the flowers and leaves, frost when it's cold. If you have a drink in the summer and water starts to form on the outside of it, those are all forms of condensation. You have cooled down the water that's in the air back to liquid form. Okay, well, as more water vapor condenses, the clouds become too heavy and the water falls back down to earth. That's precipitation. And again, that's your hail, your snow, your sleet, rain, ice, whatever type of water that's coming back down to the earth. Some of the precipitation becomes runoff. It flows off of the land and into different places of collection. That's where your rivers, your streams, your lakes, puddles come from. That's collection. Water that sinks into the ground is groundwater. This water collects underground in storage areas such as reservoirs or aquifers. Some water falls into the freshwater rivers and lakes, and then some precipitation also goes into the salt water of the oceans. And oceans provide the most water for the water cycle because there's the most water in the oceans. But again, you might not see all of the collection taking place because if it soaks through to the ground, that's groundwater, and we don't necessarily see groundwater. All right, well, then after the water falls, the precipitation falls to earth, the cycle continues. Heat gain melts ice and changes liquid water into water vapor. This gas form of water rises into the atmosphere where heat loss changes water vapor into condensation or clouds. When the clouds can't hold any more water drops, precipitation occurs again. So you heard two new words there in that last paragraph: heat gain and heat loss. If you're gaining heat, that means you're getting hotter and hotter and hotter. You're adding heat. You're gaining, which means you're getting momentum. Again, you're adding more and more and more. You're getting hotter. So that means you're going to be going up in the atmosphere as a water droplet because you've turned into vapor. And then heat loss happens when all of my heat starts to go away. It's drawing out of me, which means I'm going to start getting very cold, which means I turn back into liquid. And then if it's cold enough, I continue and I go into a solid of ice. And hopefully we don't have any ice falling. But that's the water cycle, guys. So what you're going to do are answer these questions. Okay, number one asks, what is the water cycle? All you have to do is go back into this and pull it directly out. You don't even have to put it in your own words, guys. Just pull it directly from that. What is the meaning of evaporate? What causes evaporation? Where does water go after it evaporates? What is condensation? What are 4 types of condensation? Listen to the video or go back and read for that one if you need. Name 4 types of precipitation. That's the water falling. How does it come to earth out of the clouds? What provides most of the water for the water cycle? And then the last one, label the diagram, and they give you a word bank here, and it wants you to put the words in the blank. Okay? You have any questions on that, guys? Let me know. Otherwise, I hope you're enjoying learning about the water cycle, and I hope to see you guys soon. Bye.